Your reaction to it. Thank you.
So, okay, why did you, where did you come from to do this? Like, there's such a wealth of material in this. Why did you kind of step up and decide that it was time to make this documentary?
I guess if I didn't, who would? That's the real answer in a way. When I was a kid, I saw films like The Man from Hong Kong and Patrick and Snapshot, and went to read about them in Australian film history books, and there was no mention of them at all. And if there was, it was a very brief kind of criticism of them. And I got to know the director Richard Franklin when I was a kid. I found out he'd gone to my high school and invited me to come and chat, and also went to research Richard and couldn't find anything on him. So I knew pretty early on that this was kind of a real untold story of Australian film. I subsequently had a music video crew directing clips and worked with a lot of old school crews, and they'd all worked on these films, and they just had amazing stories. So I knew that there really was a great rollicking ride, and in a way it was up to me. And it was I must say it was a real honour to be able to be the guy who told these guys' story in a way.
Well, I mean, kudos as well, because kudos as well, because the editing is just so crack on and so rapid. You've got so many clips that you've got to pull from and get the right scenes, and it just moves at such a pace.
Yeah, look, the hard thing was cutting it down to 100 minutes. It was, and so that's part of the reason it moved so quick. But also, look, it's not a soul-searching study of African yaks. We wanted it to, it has to reflect.
Where were the African yaks? I was looking forward to those.
Haven't you made a killer African yak movie somewhere in your...
I want to.
How many films have you made?
37. Most of which I'm sure you've never seen. He's made 60 as a producer. But I've directed 37, produced 9 of them, written 7 of them, and my crimes against cinema continue.
And Tony, this is your second time in Midnight Madness.
Yeah, I was here in 1996 with Screamers, the Christian de Guy picture, and I'm glad to see that we're collectively involved in a sequel or reworking of the Philip K. Dick story, which is in post-production right now, and which Sony will have out in February or March of next year. So we know Toronto audiences are very, very enthusiastic about Les Films Fantastiques and everything that surrounds horror and other activity. Well, turn off your cell phones.
Brian, is that playing the theme from Leprechaun in Space?
It should be. I'm sorry. It must be Hollywood calling.
Not quite Hollywood.
Do we have any questions from the audience here? Yes, down in the front.
How did you escape arrest breaking all those laws to make those road movies?
The question is, how did you escape arrest with breaking all the laws for those road movies?
Well, you see, we didn't tell the police, and we didn't tell local councils sometimes, and people first discovered what we had done when the films were premiered a year later. Interesting anecdote, the car chase in Man from Hong Kong, where the Chrysler Valiant Charger skittles 7 other cars and drives through a house, bisects a car and so forth. We promoted a brand new Valiant Charger from Chrysler on the basis they would give us all the other cars to destroy, the Charger would win, and we would return it to them in the condition in which they had given it to us. This was, in those days, a $5,000 car. This is 1974, and we did $4,800 worth of damage to it. But we returned it to them absolutely spotless, brilliantly repainted, and restored in every internal way. And everything was fine until a year later when the film premiered in Sydney. And a man was sitting in the audience, and when Jimmy opens the door and throws the driver into the road and drives off, the man notices his number plate of his new Valiant Charger that he had bought some 9 months before was now careering down the highway, cleaning up motorbikes and other cars, and then ultimately driving through this house and bisecting the car. He was not happy, but ultimately his target was Chrysler. They gave him a new Valiant Charger. But that was, we got away with it. We got away with it because people didn't know any better, and it was kind of gonzo filmmaking, guerrilla filmmaking, and we were sort of learning the rules as we went along. We became, more and more safety conscious as we became more experienced.
I think the other thing is that not only were we making the rules up as we went along, but there were no rules. And because there was no cinema, there was no expectation. There was no situation where you had a film in your neighbourhood a month before or up the street. You had local people complaining about this and that or endorsing it, as the case may be. So it was just the right place to be at the right time, and the money came in gradually, the history came in gradually, the mess-ups and the exhilarations came in gradually.
That's right. Do we have anyone else there? Yes.
What are your favorites of the new school crop of Australian genre movies, and how do you think they're moving that?
The question is, what are your favorites of the new crop of Australian genre films, and how do you think that they're moving forward?
It's interesting that they're not actually moving forward. If you look at the new genre films, they're all just low-budget horror films. We haven't actually made a big action film in Australia for a very, very long time. And with the exception of Wolf Creek, they haven't really hit, certainly in Australia. I'm not sure about over here. So it'll be very interesting. Rogue was kind of a great white hope. I don't know if anyone saw Rogue. I think it went straight to DVD here. In a way, that was the one that could have really helped get genre film, the budgets up in Australia, and sort of get bigger scale projects underway. And it's a real shame that there wasn't a lot of interest for that. So I honestly don't know what the history of genre film is going to be in Australia. It would be nice to, obviously there are people who have the power, like your Eric Banners and Australian actors now who have made it internationally, who can come back and get these films up if they want, but at the moment it doesn't seem like they're the kind of films that they want to be making in Australia. So I'll be very interested to see what happens.
Yeah. I think casting has become much more of a factor in getting people into a venue like this, as opposed to the 50-inch plasma screen in their home, where they can almost have a cinematic experience. So what we need in Australia is for the Eric Banners, and the Hugh Jackmans of this world to commit to flagrantly commercial enterprises at a price that is sensible for an Australian budget, then the world will be more interested in seeing those films. I think if Rogue had had a big name, one of the big Australian names in it, maybe it would have attracted an audience. There's so much competition out there for your leisure dollar, and it's a very noisy marketplace. And if you don't have the advertising budget to get your head above the competition, that will be a problem.
I think it's more, I agree, but it's more complicated than that. It's not just about cast, because clearly you have a movie like Bangkok Dangerous going out this weekend, which does, an appalling result. Australia is, as it was back in the days of 30-something years ago, we're all standing around looking to the Great Mountain, and the Great Mountain this year is Australia. Baz Luhrmann's picture with Nicole and Hugh Jackman, and running at about $175 million right now, 20th Century Fox financing. And we all hope, of course, myself included, that it will be the greatest Australian film in the history of Australian cinema, which means that if it outgrosses Dark Knight, it will take about $60 million, which means it'll take about, $30 million at the distribution level, with probably $5 million worth of costs. So you don't